DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective. Your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Well, hey there, draft heads. How's everything going? So nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Nobody is joining us live this week. Not a single one. And that's not because we've suddenly lost a lot of popularity. It's just simply because we kind of did a surprise pod this week. Everybody decided, let's go today. And none of us had any time to prepare a live stream. So here we are. We are going to go ahead and run just a recorded pod. We'll get it up on YouTube. We'll get it up on Spotify and the other podcast places. But sorry for the live streamers. We miss you all. Join us again next week for that live stream. It's a blast. But welcome in, regardless, one and all, to the Key Pass Collective. This, of course, the audio companion to the Draft Society website. My name is Joe Williams. I'll be your host for this particular episode. We are your one-stop shop for all things draft fantasy. And if you want that in the written format, or if you want stats or graphs or statistics or projected starts and all those good things, that is when you need to head over to the Draft Society. Reminder what the Draft Society is, as we do this at the beginning of every show. Basically everything you need to dominate your draft game. So we're talking Draft Premier League here, fantasy football, and we have consensus ranks. We have weekly waiver wire articles. We've got Sleepers 11 every single week. We've got useful draft statistics that are completely free, and they're very extensive. We have league setup articles and Draft 101 articles, and that's all completely free. Completely free. Then, if you are willing to support an independent fantasy football website, we do have some inner circle benefits as well. We're talking weekly player projections, rest of season player rankings every single week, updated. Sortable consensus rankings every international break. We just put one out last international break. Extra articles weekly like Ryan's Ghost Point Hunters. We've got set piece taker trackers, fixture difficulty tracker. Not to mention you can get in our Discord that is member only, where you can kind of get some I don't know if you want to call it like insider info / analysis, and run things by the community on there. Plus some confidential trade advice if you want to send us an email that no one in your league will see. Those are all inner circle benefits if you're willing to support us. And if you sign up for the rest of the season, you will also get the Fantasy Toolkit, our crown jewel, bespoke to your Fantrax ID. Literally will give you insight into your particular league. Players you could pick up, players that are on your wire, players that could strengthen your team rest of season. You can look at your roster value versus the roster value of your opponent, or you could look at a player's value versus another player if you're trying to trade them. There's so much to be had in the Fantasy Toolkit, and it's all completely bespoke, again, to your Fantrax ID. So it will be relevant to your specific league and your specific league only. Check it out. Fantasy Toolkit, we're pretty proud of it. It's pretty amazing. So you can get it for $20 for the rest of the season. And we'll probably, in the coming days, actually end up lowering that as well. So get you, because this is a draft miss special, we'll get you one for spring here coming up in just a minute for the last few hectic game weeks we have coming up. Speaking of coming up, what do we have today on the pod? We are going to be talking draft playoffs. So Premier League playoffs for your fantasy league. And of course, this applies to anybody just for the run-in. Like, right, for the end of the season, if you're fighting for a spot at the top of your table and you don't have playoffs, still tune in, because we're going to be talking game weeks 36 to 38, how to end strong. We'll talk fixtures, fixture difficulty. We'll talk studs in those weeks and who we predict to finish strong. We will talk trade targets, who you could get in now to potentially strengthen your squad for those last 3 weeks. We'll talk stashes. Who could you get in now that you might be able to get for free that will actually end up bringing you some value in those last few weeks? And then we'll, of course, talk streamers during those weeks, guys that we want to kind of keep an eye on to see if they start, because they might actually deliver the goods, if you will, in those last couple weeks. And then finally, of course, for this week, for this coming game week, we've got our waiver picks and our stashes as well. So we'll get into all of that. But first, let's go ahead and talk to a couple of lovely gentlemen. We've got Sanji from Banta Boys. We've got the Draft Genie joining us. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Great. This is my first time ever streaming with Genie.
Genie's here, yeah? There he is. Yes,
yeah,
Genie.
I'm here. Yeah, it'll be a first time. It'll be a good one for sure.
Hell yes. I love it. So really quickly, you all were supposed to meet up in Canada. Can we get the story on what happened there? Because to this day, still nobody has seen the Draft Genie in person.
Well, at this point, I might just be an AI bot, according to Ryan. But we were supposed to meet up. Unfortunately, it was like during the really hectic part of the season when we're trying to qualify for nationals. And the weekend we were supposed to, we got stuck up in Ottawa in a snowstorm. So we had to stay an extra night there, unfortunately. And then during the week, it's just between school and training and, my AI duties. It's just impossible during the week.
Yeah, your AI duties.
I mean, I can confirm there was definitely a snowstorm.
Okay.
It was really, really bad, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I timed it perfectly. So, yeah, I think it was just things just didn't line up. But we tried. We genuinely did try to meet up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll happen one day. So
Even figured out like where was the best spot, kind of how far we are from each other. It wasn't even that far. It would have been like a 15-20 minute drive for me.
Yeah. There you go.
Sanji, did it seem like you were communicating with a real person? I mean,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I still don't know what Genie looks like, by the way. We were talking about this off air. I just assume he looks exactly like his avatar. So.
Yeah, blue,
really
and
small
everything.
legs.
Yeah, facial hair.
Yeah. You don't
honestly,
you don't follow him on
opposite.
socials?
To be honest, the only sort of social stuff I've seen is just pictures of like his football games, but I don't think I've actually ever seen his face.
Okay.
No, I'm not even joking.
Sanjay needs to give the Instagram a follow then.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty there.
Do that. All right, I'll do it. I'll do it after the pod.
All right. Well, for the time being, Genie remains a mystery. But that's that's okay. We'll get to see his face someday. All right, guys. Let's jump into it. So we are going to talk game week 36 to 38. And the first thing I want to do is actually I'm just going to take us off the screen completely at the moment, so that people can see this if they're watching YouTube or if they're on Spotify and they choose the video version of that. So what they can see on their screen currently is the playoff picture, basically, or end of season run-in, 36 to 38 for the fixture difficulty tracker for defenders. So we'll start with defenders, then we'll move to forwards, obviously with midfield in between. And what I want to just mention quickly are the actual fixtures. So as far as matchups are concerned, we're not going to go through every single one, but I do want to mention the teams that double in game week 37. So first of all, we have Chelsea doubling against Forest and Brighton. We have Tottenham doubling against Burnley and City. We have City doubling against Fulham and Tottenham. We have Brighton doubling against Newcastle and Chelsea. And we have Manchester United doubling against Arsenal and Newcastle. Those all take place in 37. Now, for those who did not see this news, there was supposed to be a double for Spurs in 38, right, guys? And that
37 actually, I think was the latest one. No, I think they were supposed to have Burnley at home, City at home, or something like that.
That's what they have. That's currently what they have. I thought that they had a double in 38 that was moved.
Oh, I haven't seen anything like that, but I can't remember the last time they had a double in like the final game week of the season, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. And Anyway, so as far as I remember, at least, maybe it was 36, but regardless, Tottenham's fixtures were supposed to be much better and have even more doubles than they currently do in the last 3 weeks. So the playoff picture was going to be even better for them. But now it's just sort of, they have the one double against Burnley and City. So we can talk about what that means, but regardless, yeah, they just have the one double along with the other teams I just mentioned. So as far as defenders, guys, what pops out to you in terms of this fixture difficulty tracker? What are some things that we want to mention?
The double game week might be a trap.
Yeah, especially, I mean, yeah, all of those ones that I just mentioned. Just look at them.
Like, Chelsea defense is atrocious. I mean,
Right.
Genie, you can agree with me. Your team's defense is atrocious as well. You can't trust City defenders. Brighton defenders are just as trappy.
Yep.
Then that leaves you with Newcastle and Spurs. Like, are you really expecting a clean sheet from Spurs? Maybe the Burnley one, the first one, and the Newcastle one. If Trippier is back, that's the only defender I trust. To be honest, the single game weeks in 37 actually aren't that bad, you know. Like, I'm looking at Everton to start.
Everton, Sheffield United, yeah. Or Sheffield Everton.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's West Ham Luton as well.
Mm-hmm. Wolves Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
definitely.
So like, I wouldn't like beat yourself up, or like, I mean, at that point in the season, like, spending fab is not even an issue. You have to spend it. Like, you only have one more window after that, right?
Right.
So if you can't get a double game week player that you're pining for, I'd like eye up the single fixtures from now. Like, even, I mean, like, speaking of Everton, they've got Luton in 36 as well. Like, you can move early over there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the next thing I wanted to mention is, you know, okay, even leaving the double game week out of it, because I think we've all kind of said, yeah, we're pretty scared of those fixtures and the defenders on those teams, and trotting them up for a double could easily just get you negative points. But let's look at the all 3 game weeks, 36, 37, 38. Are there teams that you really like the run in and you might consider like loading up on them prior to these 3 game weeks?
See, for me, I'm like on the flip side of Sanjay. I don't mind starting defenders in these double game weeks. Like,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I was just looking through it. So like, I'll give some examples. Like the likes of like United, you know, you have Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Dalot. All of those are like, they score really well, even against Liverpool. I think 2 of them, they were pretty close to double digits. I know Bissaka got it with the assist, but in terms of ghost points, I think Dalot and Maguire both got double-digit ghosts. Chelsea, you're still going to have like the likes of Gusto, who's worth starting. I'm not a huge fan of Chilwell, to be honest, but like if he's starting against Forest, those guys look like they'll concede for fun. So
yeah,
definitely worth starting. And then you have Newcastle, the likes of like Burn and Hall, who score pretty well. Spurs, you have like Porro, Udogi, and even Romero could get a clean sheet against Burnley, and then like, you know, 2 points against City, which is fine. And then City defenders, I agree most can't be trusted, but the likes of like Gvardiol or Akanji are definitely worth a start there. So like, I'm on the complete opposite end, I think, in terms of not avoiding defenders in that double game week.
Oh man, it's just like I see the upside you're hinting at. It's just it feels like such a gamble.
It is, but I like a good gamble, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd rather play it like that as opposed to, you know, I see Ashley Young is starting against Sheffield, and then all of a sudden McBurney scores a 90th minute header, and Young gets minus 1.5.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The thing about City defender too, and Sanjay, I mean, this could be an interesting. I mean, I don't know, simulation to run or think about. Is like, given the rotation that they have, if you trot out one of their defenders against Fulham in 37, you could get a clean sheet out of them and maybe a few ghosts, and then they don't play against Tottenham. So that's a potential strategy there.
That's
So
true.
the thing is that if they get past Real Madrid, they get to the semifinal. The second leg of the semifinal is I believe, sandwiched between game week 36 and game week 37.
Oh,
So what I think would happen is they would probably rest against Fulham and start the stronger ones against Spurs because that's a tougher fixture, no?
oh man, yeah, you're probably right. And
So
it depends where the table's at that point, but
yeah,
presumably things are still tight.
yeah. The thing is like with certain City defenders, like you have to expect rotation, right? You have to accept that risk. But like
Right.
I agree with Genie in the sense that like there's certain assets like Maguire that would ghost well regardless of what will happen. I think streaming might be a bit difficult, but you gotta be careful with teams that are still in Europe as well because even Arsenal, I mean, if they get past Bayern as well, I mean most Arsenal assets are probably rostered already, I think, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, the City one is one I'd maybe proceed with caution. Like, would you rather start Maguire or like a Vardiol that double?
Both. I'll
I mean,
probably
if
be.
you have to pick one,
um,
Both.
I mean, it depends who my other defenders are, but like, oh man, I like them both. Guardiola has been ghosting recently, and he has the upside.
he
He's
scored a
playing like
screamer tonight.
he's
Yeah.
playing way more advanced now than he was before his injury. And then like Maguire, like United play Arsenal and Newcastle. He's gonna have a ton of work to do. Even if United concede 5 goals across that stretch, I think like he could still score close to 10 points, 11
Yeah.
points. And if they don't concede 5 goals, then he could be upwards of like 20 plus. Like I would rather bench, let's say like a Brighton defender. Like those guys are like we know how inconsistent that defense
Oh
is. I don't
God,
think
yeah,
we need to go
absolutely.
into that.
I don't know that I'm even considering a Brighton defender in this double. Newcastle, Chelsea.
Same.
Yeah, probably not.
What about Purvis?
No,
No.
I think he should be on the waiver wire.
All right, well then in that case, you got to trade Purvis out now.
You're
Yeah.
assuming somebody will take him though.
I know he's been
I would have
terrible.
dropped him already.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I know.
People
Look,
have been
I know.
playing hot potato with him in one of my leagues. Like,
He's at Burnley this week, so I'm hoping for good things, and then maybe get him out.
Hopefully
Yeah.
he starts.
That's true. That is very true, and plays more than 45. Anyway, okay. So, let's go back and look at the fixtures quick. So, some teams that are striking me, or at least that are interesting to me. You've got Arsenal, Bournemouth, United, Everton. You have Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, Chelsea, Burnley. You have Luton, Everton, West Ham, Fulham. Those are some pretty decent matchups, and you're not getting any doubles there. But
yeah, the Forest one was the one that caught my eye out of all of them because I think you'd have to trade to get Arsenal defense. But Forest, yeah, I mean, depends which centre back is nailed because it feels like Felipe is getting a game, Bolly's getting a game here or there randomly. So maybe Nico or who else is nailed on the other side. That's the thing is there's a bit of rotation
Felipe?
and stuff, right? Yeah, but Felipe is one of the centre backs that gets rotated, right?
yeah, is he? I'm trying to wonder if like now that Bolly is basically fully fit, is he gonna be nailed at some point here coming up?
I think the only centre back that I think is nailed is a midfielder who's Murillo. I think like the other two around him is a gamble. I think.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's fair. Like the defensive landscape here is not super exciting. So I think we could probably move on from it. But you've gotten several takes on this here. It just kind of depends on which one you want to go with, right? Genie loves a gamble. So, and if you are a gambling man, there's no reason not to go with the double, especially if you have a strong midfield, you have a strong forward line, you can kind of depend on those guys and you're hoping just for a little upside. Yeah, why not? Go for it. Okay, let's look at some midfielders, guys. So, folks who are checking the screen out or the video out can see that the order of the teams have drastically just changed. So instead of being at the top, Chelsea is now third. Brighton has skyrocketed to the top of this list. Manchester City second. Chelsea, Newcastle, Tottenham. So basically all of the double game week teams. And then Forest sneaks in there at 6. And then 7, we have the last double game week team, Manchester United. Obviously, this being a huge indicator, or resulting of the fact that these guys are not getting penalized for goals against. So looking at this, guys, and the colors have changed, meaning the fixture difficulty has changed and the expected points have changed a little bit. But generally seeing, Brighton, City, Chelsea, United, Tottenham, Forest, United at top, how do we feel about this midfielder kind of landscape for 36 to 38?
I agree that the Forest fixtures again stand out, but which midfielder are you grabbing from there? Like, okay, I mean, I'm looking at it from like a streaming perspective, because obviously if you have Morgan Gibbs White, he's absolutely killing it right now.
Yeah.
You'd start him, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. And you're not getting your hands on him unless you like really, probably trade away a really decent asset.
Yeah.
So, like, who are you really picking up? What, Dominguez? No.
Like, Danilo is starting, but he's inconsistent. Like, I know recently he had like a 18-point haul,
Yeah.
but
And then
around
this last
that
week,
it scores of 2 to 4 points. Like,
yeah, and then he had a 2.5 to follow that up immediately. Yeah.
I can see like I'm trying to like look around in leagues and see someone like from United. There's one Kobe Mainu who he could
Yeah.
be. I'm not expecting him to light up.
Too soon.
Yeah, 19, 19 points every week, but he could be a decent streamer, especially through the double. He does do better in tougher fixtures. Like I'd rather play him against Arsenal than Palace. And I'd prefer to play him against like City as opposed to Sheffield United or something. Mason Mount's one who could also start getting some more starts because Casemiro just, I don't know, this guy goes out to eat McDonald's at like 4 a.m. or something every night. He looks so off it that like I don't know if my Sunday league team would take him anymore. We stopped playing, so like there's gonna come a time where he's dropped, and it's between McTominay and Mount for that last spot, and I'm just gonna hedge my bet that Mount will get a chance because McTominay could. He'll either have a 10 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10. It doesn't seem like there's any in between there. So there's players like that. Everton, there's like Onana, who's a streamer. Spurs, you'll have like Pape Sarr or Højbjerg or Bentancur, but it seems like those guys are 45-minute swaps.
Right.
Chelsea, you want to say Caicedo, but his points have been like horrendous. Like even in a double game week, you could be looking at 1.5 points in like
he's been so minutes.
Bad. Yeah, I picked him up in like 2 game weeks ago to hold him for the 2 doubles Chelsea have, and I just dropped him. I was like, he's not even worth it.
Oh man. Yeah, 6 against Sheffield United, and before that his best had been 7.5 against Newcastle, but in between there it's like 1.5s and 3s. It's just like terrible.
Yeah.
Joe, I've got a player for you.
All right.
Willock.
Oh Christ. Absolutely not. I mean, he's
available, and
he's coming back from injury. He's only 36% rostered at time of speaking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Longstaff, if he's playing around that time, I wouldn't mind going on Longstaff maybe.
He reminds me of Caicedo, to be honest. Like he's him and Elliot Anderson and all those. It's just the same kind of.
Longstaff hasn't scored more than 5 since February 10th.
Fair. Yeah, I just figured he has a goal in him, so
Yeah.
like you're gambling on that. So Yeah.
It's like same thing kind of goes with my thinking with Jordan Ayew for the double game week. Dude's been scoring like 2s and 1s, kind of like,
Yeah.
but like he has a goal in him, but he's just someone that like, man, I'd rather start like Lerma, get my 15 points as opposed to like 3.5 or 25. If it depends on the position you're playing, but it's one of those where their trends are pointing more towards you're gonna get like 7 combined points.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He hit the crossbar versus City. So it might be coming. You never know. You never know.
That doesn't. It's man. I mean, to be fair though, I spoke poorly of Mr. Taith Chong before the double.
I
game
mean,
week or
true.
something. Didn't he got like close to 19 points,
Right?
Or something like that.
Yeah, you couldn't stop returning for a while.
Yeah.
We joke about Ayew being Toddy's forward one because he was for a while, just because that was the state of Toddy's team. But I sure hope he's not anymore because he hasn't scored more than 4 since February 24th, and that was a 33.5 outing against Burnley, which is pretty incredible. But yeah, things have been dire for Mr. Ayew, unfortunately. But anyway, we're talking about mids. Anything else to add for midfielders?
For the doubles, no. I mean, assuming you get all the way to 38. I'm just looking at it in isolation. Like, who has one of the best ones? I guess Forest.
I think Luton are underrated. Everton, West Ham, Fulham. If you have like Barkley and Doughty, which I do in pretty much every
there you go.
This dude has been starting Jordan Clark or whatever. Isn't he a new face as well?
Jordan Clark's he's someone who's been around. I think he's just been in and out with injuries, and oh my god, he had a game and a half against Bournemouth.
Yeah, he sure did.
But usually he's not like that. Usually he's more of the 1.5 type guy.
Yeah, he generally is. He's had a couple pretty decent matches, but yeah, not a great scorer normally.
26.5 last week, and then 1.5, 2, 1, 13, 4, 6.
I mean, Chong's probably floating out there in a couple leagues.
Yeah, probably every league.
18% rostered. It seems like his purple patch has kind of died off at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also got benched against Arsenal, so I'm sure that's when everyone was just like, all right, his time's done.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, man. So, I mean, we're going to get to like streamers and stashes here in a little bit, but I mean, just from the sounds of it, we've kind of been talking through some of these things and it's not awesome. It's not great. So yeah, start to mull over some of those guys that we want to maybe recommend people pick up. But yeah, it's kind of brutal. Like the thought of double game weeks and all these different things, are exciting. But like, let's take a team like Brighton, for example. You have all of these wonderful players who could, really score pretty well in the double. They're all going to be rostered. That's my dog. Hold on. My wife brought a friend home, and yeah, knew that we were recording. It's fine. I'm not mad about it. Moving on.
Is it like right behind you right now?
My dog? Yeah. She was in the room with me, and now she's been let out, which is good. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, that's my point, right? Manchester City midfielders all going to be rostered. Chelsea, for the most part, I mean, maybe you can get your hands on somebody like a Mudryk, but I don't know. Sanji, any Chelsea guys you'd be even interested in?
Mudryk's looking better now. So yeah, I mean, that's the only other midfielder I think that has a ceiling worthy of rostering or I don't know, trading in or whatever, because I feel like people would have started grabbing him in leagues and stuff. I don't think you're guaranteed like 4 starts in 4 games over there. Maybe expect 2, but at that point, like playoffs, like with the ceiling that he can provide, he could make a difference. I was just looking at Sheffield United, by the way. Ignoring the
Okay.
37 fixture, if you look at the 36 and 38 fixtures, so sometimes I kind of like to look at like maybe 36 and 38 could be a good combo. Ignoring 37, you look at 36 37 together, 37 38 together. But Sheffield United has a like maybe fourth or fifth best fixture for mids by then. So I'm just wondering, like, they've got a double now as well, and I think I don't want to jump ahead to Genie's streamers, but Genie has like a midfielder that I think he suggested that maybe Sheffield United still would be fighting or playing for something at that point. So you might be able to get a Sheffield United mid as a streamer, possibly. Because they would definitely be the team I think least owned in any leagues as well, right? So they could be like a bit of a sleeper pick at that point. Who knows? I don't think many managers would be looking or wanting a Sheffield United player to help them win their playoff game or whatever. But yeah, it's just the number like that it's rated, so that just stood out to me.
No, that's true. I mean, I got the top scoring Sheffield United player off of waivers like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it just you're right. You potentially could be out there because people are just sick of him. I don't know if McBurney stays healthy. Obviously, I think he'll probably end up taking that spot, but we'll see. We'll see. We should welcome Toddy.
Hello, boys.
How goes it, brother?
It goes well. It goes well.
Nice.
So sorry for being late. I was at a pub quiz, and then we ended up watching the end of the Arsenal game.
You said you were at a pop quiz?
Pub quiz.
Oh, a pub quiz.
Pub.
Did you win?
We did win, yes.
Oh wow! Shit. What'd you get?
I have no idea.
You didn't win anything? Like free drinks or?
Yeah, we won something. I think a few bottles of wine or something, but I didn't care because it was phones off from like 7:30 our time to just after the second half started in both games. So I was like going online and watching the scores and getting a lot of messages through. So I didn't even catch what we won.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we just finished talking midfielders for game weeks 37 through 38 for the playoff / end of season run in. So we're going to talk forwards now, which
so we're not talking scores since Boxing Day. Then?
I'll sprinkle that in whenever I can, but for the moment, no, we're talking predicted scores for 36 to 38. All right, as folks can see on the screen, Chelsea jumps back up to the number 1 spot in terms of fixture difficulty or lack thereof for this stretch. Then we've got Newcastle, Brighton, Tottenham, City, and United. So literally all of the double game week teams from 37 are right up there in top. There's our old friend Nottingham Forest again at 7. And then Brentford, Burnley, Arsenal round out the top 10 with Luton being a little bit sneaky there. As Jeannie already mentioned, Everton, West Ham, Fulham. So anything jumping out to you guys in terms of this forward landscape for these 3 weeks?
Jackson.
Really? Man.
It jumps at you and then past you.
Misses. Yeah.
And misses,
I mean,
yeah.
he could still ghost pretty well. Like, he doesn't have to score to put up like decent double game week numbers. Like, Sheffield was disappointing, but before that he got like 8 and like 14 ghosts or something in the previous 2 games. Like, add in the rare goal that he scores, and it's a good game.
Sanji, are you expecting? I don't know if you've talked about this, but are you expecting any one major back for the run-in for Chelsea? Like I expect Chilwell will be back soonish, but no Reece James, no Christian Nkunku. Who else do they have?
No one.
No one.
I think right now the biggest surprise would be Sanchez. Like, I wouldn't expect anyone really.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, even Chilwell, like
No, he's
guys,
horrendous.
he's been shit.
He's horrendous.
The whole team has been like that. They're unpredictable at the moment. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking at Chilwell at all.
No,
That,
but
I mean, that's the best word for them is unpredictable because it's like your attackers could, drop 3 to 4 goals on any given game week, but you also could shit 3 to 4 goals pretty easily.
Yeah. So if you look at 36 and 37 alone, I know they don't have a double, but Everton's fixtures of away to Luton at home to Sheffield, you could probably try and grab both DCL and Beto right now, right? And then you've got a nailed Everton starter for those games.
But why?
Fixtures, 36 and 37.
I'd much rather Chris Wood if
Oh,
we're
me
talking non double game week forwards.
Luton and Sheffield, though.
But Beto, has he ever scored?
I'm not saying that.
No.
Do you want to hold 2 players for a non-doubling team that is, at the end of the day, Everton?
He's only scored in 1 game in which he started, because obviously you're not starting him off the bench. So he's only scored in 1 game in which he started, and that was West Ham on March 2nd.
Well, good for him. He could sit at 7% rostered then.
He has no assists.
I'm not surprised.
I think
there's a lot of players I would rather roster, and like Jaden Bogle, like
for what it's worth, I think with these back-to-back goals, DCL has kind of got that spot locked up until the end of the season. Who knows what happens there?
Can you really call it a goal? What happened last week?
Yeah, I mean,
technically it went off him into the net. So
it did find its way to the net. Yes,
he worked for that goal, man.
Great.
Right. I mean, yeah, and he has quietly worked his way back up to 72% rostered because he was for a while. No, literally, he was dropped in a lot of leagues, so he was for a while. He was available. Sanji, you got him for free at one point in our league, but then I think you dropped him again, didn't you?
Yep. Because Beto was getting the starts then at that point.
Yeah,
so.
Of course. Why would you hold him? Yeah. It's hilarious. I mean, last week we debated DCL against Rashford, and I don't know.
Well, oh man, that's closer than I want to say because Rashford sucks right now.
That's what we said. That's exactly what we said.
And he's injured. I think I don't know what his injury really is, but I could see Anthony starting a few games over him, and then you never know. Ten Hag tries to be Mr. Creative Genius, which he's not, and be like, oh, let me shove Mount out.
Yeah,
onto
but
the wing.
they just don't score enough goals, and they don't produce enough attacking momentum for ghosts to matter.
You mean Everton?
No, United.
Oh, United. Okay,
but
I'm
Everton,
talking
both.
all the same. Yeah, all the same.
I think both Rashford and DCL are like Rashford. You could still, if you wanted to trade him out, there's someone who will give you something for him. I'd be interested in giving one of the last players on my bench for Rashford.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. I think people are going absolutely batshit crazy about the Everton schedule, which I honestly do not for the life of me understand, because at the end of the day it's Everton. But I've seen DCL, hold on to your whatever you are sitting on, traded before today obviously for Grealish and Porro.
What? Why? Who? Where?
This was. I think this was in the.
Could you get this person on
Discord
the pod?
Super League? But the comment was after the trade went through: "Is this what it feels like to be Genie?"
Oh my! I hope that's the guy who got Grealish and Porro saying that, not the guy who got DCL.
obviously. But yeah, I think there is a market for Everton assets. I have McNeil almost probably all of my leagues, and I've had nibbles for him in 2 of mine already. So yeah, I think
Tarkowski
there
is
is
someone.
a trade market for Everton players, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like you're willing to trade. You're willing to sell.
I would be not McNeil, but DCL for sure.
What about Tarkowski? He's been
He's
garbage as
been
of lately.
absolute shit.
Yeah.
I would love to sell him. Branthwaite is just taking all of his alpha points. So
Yeah.
if I had a decent offer for Tarkowski, I'd move him, but I haven't had any proper offers yet.
Fair. All right. Anything else on these last 3 weeks for forwards? Because we're still going to talk more about players to add, players to trade for.
Yeah, I want to highlight Chris Wood.
Of course.
From this, of course. Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Burnley in the last 3 game weeks. You'll be hard pressed to find a better forward schedule for a non-double game week player. I think he's still only around 50% rostered. So anyone who's in a league where, even in a 10 team league, I would definitely go and pick him up in anticipation of the playoffs. And the other one, I will probably, and we'll talk about this a bit later, but probably you can wait to pick them up later, but either Fofana or Lyle Foster for Newcastle, Spurs, and Forest.
Oh. Okay. I like it.
I also like Hudson-Odoi from Forest.
Yeah, I was debating mentioning Elanga or Hudson-Odoi, but there's been some crazy rotation with those wingers as well. So
And Origi.
and Origi as well. It's only Wood who has been nailed on since Avoni's injury / fallout with Nuno. So yeah, that's why I prefer him to any of the others.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Well, let's talk, because we're going to stick with the game weeks 36 to 38, kind of the end of the season run-in / playoffs for those who are playing in playoffs. So let's talk about some playoff studs. So these are players we expect to, or project to absolutely dominate these 3 game weeks. Or players that you're targeting for trades. We've already kind of talked about this a little bit, but if anybody, maybe Toddy, do you want to? This probably is the best time to mention the spreadsheet we're looking at, put together by Robbie and Draft Lad.
Yeah. So in some shape or form, we will publish results and data from the spreadsheet, but essentially this is a playoff optimized war and fixture difficulty tracker built into one kind of super computer spreadsheet thingy. So yeah, it doesn't really give us anything as for the studs, anything that we don't know already.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that you want Cole Palmer as your number 1 asset because of the 2 double game weeks or this isn't even the 2 double game weeks. This is just the 1 double game week for Chelsea in the playoff schedule, and because he just absolutely sort of, there are points under his everything.
Yeah, but so like if users, I mean, when we get this into the toolkit, and users log in and they see Cole Palmer with a 0.44 WAR, wins above replacement ranking, for game weeks 36 to 38. What should that mean to them?
Well, the higher the number, the better the score, essentially. So,
Perfect.
that's coming from an English major trying to understand numbers. So
I mean, same.
probably not something that you should have not expected, but yeah, essentially we've talked about this a lot with the guys from Overthinking Football and with that solitary appearance from Draft Lad on the pod and several other times. War is, as you said, wins above replacement, and essentially it's a metric that shows you a player's potential value above a player that you could pick up on any given game week from the waiver wire from his position, essentially. So it's I think the main thing to sort of grasp from it, if you don't want to go deeper, which you shouldn't be expecting this specific pod to give you any deeper knowledge of it, but it's essentially how good a player is compared to, or how good you're expecting the player to be compared to his positional peers.
Right, and it links it or it ties into how much more likely you are to win a matchup based upon just having that player in your squad.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? Yeah. Okay. So 0.44 doesn't look like a lot, but if you think of it almost as like, that's basically like half a game advantage or half a matchup advantage just by having that one player in your squad. It's pretty impressive. Meaning that, we're kind of projecting Cole Palmer between all of those weeks to potentially, come close to like winning you a game week by himself, essentially. Which, yeah. So you at the top, we can see players like Palmer, Fernandez, De Bruyne, Foden, Gross. You're probably not getting your hands on any of these guys. Holland, Isak, maybe. Saka, Trippier. So it's all the names that you'd expect. But are there any guys that like you are seeing or that you're thinking about that you might actually target to try to bring in and you could get on the cheap or you could get for a reasonable price right now?
Maybe Enzo?
Yeah, you could probably get Enzo for a reasonable price, but
Enzo,
would you want to?
I mean, he's ranked decently on this list.
Yeah, 27th. Well, no, I guess it's not. No, that's the 27th sell. What would that be for actual ranking? Like 24?
Yeah,
23?
something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, these sort of defensive type players always get a boost from the double game week just because they are much more nailed on than their offensive counterparts. So I've been a vocal sort of person saying that I don't like the defensive midfielders even in doubles, but obviously it is something that you can go ahead and do.
Yeah.
There's not much upside with Enzo, is there? Really?
No.
Right.
And it's the same with Bruno Guimaraes, who is ranked even higher. He's ranked 18th in this here tracker, just mainly due to the favorable schedule and the double game week there for Newcastle. So yeah, I would definitely take it with a grain of salt. I think the main guy I suspect you've already mentioned him, but the main guy to talk about is James Madison on this list because for me, he's the highest upside player who you could potentially get on a cheap.
We have
right
not
now.
mentioned him yet.
He's been so bad though. I have him like in every league, and I'm like punching the air every time I see his points, and like I lose a league by 2 points, and it's like Madison with 5 or something. But
I mean, I imagine that's why Toddy is saying what he's saying about getting him in.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
do you want to get him in? Like I do think he's not going to be that cheap. I think you're going to have to give up a player that has just the same amount of upside, who is probably performing very like slightly better. So I don't know. I have Madison in most leagues. You could give me some players. I'd literally tell you if I'd sell him for them.
I'll give you some players now. Trent.
Ooh, I think I'd keep Madison there.
Eze.
No, I want Eze for sure over him.
Even though Olise is back, and
Yeah,
we do know that he has the tendency to sort of siphon some points from old Eberechi.
I do. I think Eze is still gonna be like, at worst he's getting, aside from like City and maybe Liverpool this weekend, like he's still gonna be getting you at least like 8-9 points, and that's
But remember, we're talking playoffs, though.
yeah. He's what's it called? So he's got United, Wolves, and Villa Eze. That's 3 fixtures where Palace could score at least like 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
And then Madison has a double, which the thing about Madison is, Eze will get hooked early in a lost cause game. Madison's going to get hooked early in every game, it seems. Like last
Yeah,
4
it's
games,
been
it's
very bad.
So he could be on like 4 points, gets hooked at 60 minutes, and then Spurs go and score 3 goals, and he's not involved in any of them. So
What
I do
about
prefer Eze to him.
Conor Gallagher?
I was just thinking that.
Oh my god, that's a tough one because
That's a really hard one.
I have Gallagher in quite a few leagues, and I'm loving the way he's playing right now. I'm gonna say I'd probably try and squeeze a little bit more out of that manager and not do it 1-for-1, and then I'd take Gallagher plus something over Madison. Yeah,
Gallagher plus like Maguire maybe, something like
yeah,
that.
oh yeah, all day.
Two more I want to throw at you. One is Bernardo Silva.
I'm leaning to a no just because of the hell that City rotation's about to be.
Yeah.
So I'd probably take Madison there.
Even with the 5-pointers.
Yeah. Because Silva has those 3-pointers in his locker as well.
What about my last one is Morgan Gibbs-White?
Oh.
I've never been a Gibbs wipe stan, to be honest. Like
Gibbs wipe.
Yeah, it sums up what I think about him.
Gibbs ass wipe, more like.
He's got
good
such a nice playoff schedule though, Gibbs White. That's the thing. But oh man, before his little stretch against Luton, Palace, and Fulham, I'm looking at it right now. He was pretty Madison level. Needed a
but he's
return
been
to
back
scratch.
and he's been great, hasn't he?
He has been. He went off like it looked like he hobbled off last game against Spurs. I don't know if that was just like a couple heavy tackles and he was icing something on the bench, but yeah, I think that one is probably the closest one you've told me outside of Gallagher. But I'm gonna, just based on like my gut, I'm gonna stick with Madison in that one. But it's not a crazy offer.
So you're essentially, what you're saying is you're not wanting to sell him.
Not low.
Not low. Like the thing is, I like as a Madison roster, like I did sell him for Eze in a league. And then in the other leagues, I'm just hoping for that big game, and then someone who, like, I could probably use him to get someone that I'd rather,
I've got a name for you. Madison or Harvey Barnes?
No, come on. Well, come on. One I wouldn't even put a waiver claim in. The other one I have in like 4 leagues. Man. If you said Anthony Gordon, now that one's a thinker, actually.
You're not getting Anthony Gordon for Madison. No way.
I feel like someone would do that.
Really?
Just based off name value.
I think somebody.
There's someone who
name
would just
value.
do
Yeah,
that.
I guess. But
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy to say that it wouldn't happen, because man, Newcastle as well, they have such a good end to the season fixture wise.
Yeah. Anthony Gordon, let's see, where is he? He's 22nd on this list in terms of sorted by WAR for game weeks 36 to 38. And then James Madison is 11th.
Has Gordon had that many bad games recently? I don't think so, because every game I've seen him play, other than that one that he went off injured early, he's been pretty damn good.
He's been good. He's been good all season.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
He's
mostly home
won-
games.
How Newcastle? Sanji, do you disagree with anything that any of those takes that Genie just had?
I agree with everything except Morgan Gibbs-White. I think I'd take Gibbs-White. I think right now is the perfect time to sell high, take the gamble on Gibbs-White, because I think if you wait a couple of game weeks, it might be too late.
Buy high, you mean?
Buy high.
Buy high. Well, I mean, it could go back to the shit that he was scoring before this little mini run, right? Like what Genie was alluding to. So
Yeah,
but we are talking about the last 3 games. Last 3 game weeks. So the question, if it's like, it does come down to, would you rather Gibbs White against Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Burnley, or would you rather Maddison against Liverpool in a double against Burnley and City, and then Sheffield United?
yeah.
And I'd probably side with you, Sanji. I'd rather Gibbs White for those, even though there's no double in there, but all 3 of those games for Gibbs White could yield an attacking return. Whereas at this point in time, are you even expecting 2 returns in those 4 games for Maddison?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, so what you're doing is you're buying high on Gibbs White on the hope that he continues to do what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. And you are selling low on Maddison, basically hedging your bet that he is going to continue on this poor run of form that he is on for the remaining part of the season.
Yeah, and it's not like you're selling very low, like you're
pretty low.
I mean, you're getting a similar value asset, so
I don't think so.
I mean, currently not a lot similarly valued, but
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, because Toddy, Morgan Gibbs White for a good chunk of this season was pretty terrible. Like he was a very run of the mill, like mid 3, bordering on mid 2. It's only recently that he's.
I mean, mid 4 even. Like,
yeah. It's only recently that he's even comparable to Maddison in expectation. That's why I'm saying you're buying low or you're buying high on his recent numbers.
The thing is like, even Gibbs White, it doesn't strike me like he has competition, but Maddison, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets benched for like Kulusevski in the middle. We've seen Kulu play as the
I can't see Maddison not starting a game unless he's hurt, especially this Kulusevski.
He hasn't played 90. He's only played 90 once.
No, I'm not saying that he won't get hooked early. I'm just saying that I think Maddison will start like every game rest of season unless there's a injury.
Yeah, you literally just said that he would get hooked every game. Like,
he'll get hooked. Yeah.
But if he's getting hooked, do you think he starts both those games in that double?
Yeah, I think he'll start. Like I said, every game that he's available for.
he's
Plays
getting
60.
hooked. He's getting hooked because of his injury and because of his form as well. So it's unlike
Because he's terrible.
I
Yeah.
also think it's like I
And
think
he's,
it's
like,
more so
in-
form as opposed to injury or like I don't know. Ange is just being like, man, all these mids suck. I'll try this guy right now. See, maybe he'll get a goal. This guy's not working. Okay, let me hook him at halftime. I thought Basuma was doing pretty decent, and then all of a sudden he gets hooked at half against Forest, and I was like, all right. So I
yeah,
don't.
but
Ange is kind of giving me Ole vibes right now. He just
yeah, but what
trying
if like
things.
what if he puts on Kulu or puts in Lo Celso and they get
Not-
two returns in like 15-minute stints? Are
I
you
don't
saying
think
that they're not gonna start against Burnley and then Madison comes back for the game against City?
no, I can't see I can't see Kulu starting in that role. Ange has even talked recently about Kulu's role. He said on the right and the left. So I don't think he's even
Which
thinking about
is
him
crazy
centrally.
because when Kulu played in the 10, he was amazing. I feel
He
like that's
was,
when he had
but-
his best form this season.
But Ange, like I said, some Ole vibes right now. He's
Can't
not really
believe-
keen on there.
I cannot believe that he was linked with Liverpool, or at least he was rumored to be a candidate for the Liverpool job.
Cool.
I think
Oh,
I'd
Ange.
rather
Yeah,
I'd rather Ange than Ten Hag. Can't lie.
that's fair. That's fair. At least, Ange is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Ten Hag is just like a dementor of joy and fun
I hope-
football.
I honestly hope we like just lose out this season and he just gets fired. Like whatever. Like,
You've
I'll
done
take-
your bit. You've done your bit. You've conceded 86 shots and managed to save 84 of them across 100 and something minutes. So you've
Yeah.
done your bit.
Yeah, exactly. You've played the spoiler. Congratulations. Anyway.
Man.
All right, last bit of chat about this playoff run-in, guys. We've already talked a few of them, so we don't need to repeat necessarily. Although it'll be interesting to see if Toddy repeats any of the ones that we previously said. Are there any players that you could potentially stash now, or are there any streamers you're keeping your eye on for these last 3 game weeks of the season?
I know we just talked a bunch of garbage about United, but yeah, that's the one. That's the team I'm looking at. They got a good run in. I think they'll have a lot to play for. The last 3, they have a good run in until playoffs. So if you're in one of those positions where you need to make playoffs or like you're fighting for a league title, their next 3 games: Bournemouth, Sheffield, Burnley. I expect them to lose all 3, but on the off chance they don't, they'll put up some big points. And then Palace, Arsenal, Brighton to finish the season. I mean, I'm not expecting huge points, but like I said earlier in the pod before Toddy joined, their defenders are probably some of the better ghosting defenders out there. So I'm very happy to roster those guys. And I already mentioned like Mount potentially coming into the lineup. So he's one. If he doesn't start this weekend, I'm dropping him. But yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Mainu as one potential.
Streamer, especially in those last 3 against Arsenal and Brighton. He'll have a lot of work to do. Even against Palace, he'll have some work to do there. So he's one of those, like I mentioned, better in the tougher games than the easier games, as we saw against Chelsea and Liverpool, 12 and 19 points, and then 1.5 points against Everton.
Yeah. Mine are Lewis Hall. I don't know if he's been mentioned.
No.
Nico Williams.
Sounds you mentioned him.
Joe Willock and or Elliot Anderson.
How dare you? How dare you mention his name in my presence?
I mentioned both, actually, Totti.
You did.
Thank
You did.
Vibes.
Vibes. like
Man
it.
knows, yo.
and Sergio Reguilon. would be-
Ooh, that's a good call. I like that one.
Yeah, I actually like that one too a lot. Damn.
Decent schedule: Fulham, Bournemouth, Newcastle. Just 4 teams on the beach, or 3 teams on the beach. Brentford could still be in some spot of bother.
Oh yeah, true.
depending on who gets deducted how many points in the upcoming 2 or 3 weeks.
Not City.
The Fulham have been terrible too, and yeah, Newcastle probably won't have much to play for that last week, and it's at Brentford.
Yeah. So I like Reguilon there.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. You
Okay,
could probably get him in.
Okay.
I think we mentioned him in this week's waiver article as well, right?
Yeah, he was in there. Yeah. He was in there, and
They finally have a good run coming up. It's been rough for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's been so bad.
I had in my community league. We've had some guys check out somewhat.
Oh, sure.
And I tried to get Fab Monopoly, but I couldn't trade with them because they wouldn't budge. So I ended up with 100-something Fab with a few of the guys still having some at the end of January, and at like a few weeks after the end of the January window, I realized that I was the only one offering, like, putting on money in bids. So I just acted like I had Monopoly, and I got everyone, like, I dropped and picked up Olise for one Fab in like 3 times.
Oh my god!
But this
way.
week I was like, I was home free. I properly expected nothing to happen, no one to put in a money bid rest of the season. So I put in I still have 100 plus or 90 something Fab, so I could have well put in like 5-6 Fab to get someone in, but I always put in 1, and I lost out on Reguilon because someone just woke up and realized that they have some Fab, so they spent it on Reguilon. So now I have Nathan Collins, which is the next best thing.
I was gonna say, which is not as good, but I have him in a league too.
Definitely not. I'm not sure on who I prefer, if it's Christopher Ayer, Nathan Collins, or
Zanka,
or even
Ayer.
Zanka.
Yeah.
I think Ayer has been ghosting the best out of them recently. So
Yeah, Ayer has been the best, hasn't he?
The toolkit liked all of them this week.
yeah, I got like 5 Brentford players in one of my leagues this week.
Yeah, because you saw how well
Good luck.
Chelsea did against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
So he said, double down. I
There you
want
go.
me some of that.
Quick question: When is the right time to grab one Neil Pinnock for the run-in?
Never would be my guess.
What do you mean never?
Have
You don't-
seen his
you don't think
scores
he'll
before he got
magically-
injured?
Yeah, his scores before he got injured was 14.75 against Wolves.
And if you look a bit further back,
Well, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to scroll.
What is
if
it since
what if
Boxing Day?
Since Boxing Day.
How dare you? How absolutely dare you?
Your own weapon against.
Okay, literally since Boxing Day. All right,
Not
December
figuratively, literally.
December 27th, 1.75. December 30th, 1.5. January 20th, 3.5. January 31st, 3.75. February 5th, minus 1.25.
What a score.
I mean, you
nothing
just
above
mentioned the
4?
fixtures and how great they were. I just thought maybe.
Maybe the
You
injury
thought
was
wrong.
a blessing.
You thought wrong, Joe. You were wrong.
All right, fair enough. I accept it. Oh man,
And
are
he's
any of
still
those
injured.
teams?
Why is he still injured?
Are any of those teams? Hold on, let's see. Fulham, Bournemouth, Newcastle. Fulham have the second most crosses in the entire Premier League.
That crosses thing
Ooh.
didn't work last week. I had Tarkowski and Dara O'Shea. Dara O'Shea starting in my home.
Well, Dara
league,
O'Shea, that had nothing to do with the crosses.
I mean, I'm still attributing that to the shit.
He was
crosses
shown
thing.
out. He was escorted out of the off of the pitch.
That's fair.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Anything else to add in terms of playoff pickups, streamers, and/or stashes? Or shall we move?
He had one aerial before he was escorted out in the 66th minute. Assuming he was not going to get 10 more in the remaining 30 minutes or 24 minutes, I'd say that theory of crosses and tall lads in the middle is fucked.
It's too small of a sample size at this point. I think we gotta investigate further. Being the math guy that I am, I think that we need to look into this further.
He had as many aerials as Ashley Young. That's all I'm saying. I rest my case.
We will get to Ashley Young here in just a moment. Anything else on playoff pickups?
I wanted to add, don't give up the next 3 weeks just for playoffs, because
yes, good call.
Unless you're like first or second. Like I'm in a playoff league with Ryan, and there's like only 3 teams secure. So I see the guy in 4th place who's just like a win ahead of me in 7th. Thinking about game week 37, where he may not even be in game week 37.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. All right, let's move on to some streamers. So Gameweek 33 streamers, 1 week plays with high upside. These are guys we're targeting this week. Waivers have already run in most leagues, but some of these guys are still going to be there for you to snag, especially in your home league. So tune in. Let's try to get you set up for a win this week. Sanji, I believe you are up first.
Sweet. So I think I chose assets that are facing the possible relegated teams: Luton, Burnley, Sheffield, and Chelsea. I felt like that was a fitting 4. So I'm going to start with thanks, Toddy. So I thought I'd start with against Chelsea. So I think I said it on like our pod last week. Like I generally would play any forward or midfielder against Chelsea. Like you don't know what to expect when you play us. And I think I predicted like our blaster to do well, and he got 5 key passes against us. So like I know Young is classified as a defender in the game, but he's been playing out of position last 2 games. And he was mentioned in our waiver wire article. So if you haven't had a chance to read that, definitely go check it out on the draftsociety.com blog website. And yeah, you can see that he ghosts way better when playing out of position further up the field. So I think like regardless if Everton concede, I think he will score enough ghost points to maybe do well, if Chelsea get a goal or 2, because he's been averaging 10 to 11 ghost points, I think, in that right midfield position.
Yeah.
Next pick I like is Oscar Bob versus Luton. It's because City have their Champions League fixture before and after. Like basically this game week is sandwiched between their ties, right? So we saw Bob get a start last week. He could get a start this week. I think he got 6 or 7 ghost points against Crystal Palace. So I kind of like him for that Luton fixture because the tie ended 3-3, right? So City are definitely going to want to play their strongest 11 for that midweek fixture versus Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Veltman versus Burnley. So Veltman had a really, really good ghosting game, but then missed out that fixture, I think, versus Arsenal. I feel like De Zerbi is just rotating. Like we were talking about, you don't know if Estupinan is even going to start, right? So
yeah,
if Veltman gets a start, I feel like recently he's been ghosting the best out of all the Brighton defenders. So I just like that fixture versus Burnley. It's the same play like we had Everton versus Burnley. Like a lot of managers would have been rewarded for streaming Everton defenders last game week. So yeah, same sort of idea. And then final pick is basically a Brentford defender versus Sheffield United. I've gone specifically with Roslav. I've got him in a couple of leagues. He's playing as like a wing back position. I feel like he has good wing back chemistry with Reguilon if both play. So there's a chance you can get a clean sheet and an attack and return from him. So yeah, those are my picks.
I like it.
I like it.
Genie.
Okay, so I got my Sheffield United streamer here, R Blaster. I actually picked him up in every single league today. I think I was like one of the only people who went for him.
Yeah, I think you probably are.
But I was watching the Chelsea game and I thought he bossed the shit out of that. I can't lie. He got 5 key passes, which I'm not expecting each week, but he also got couple tackles, interceptions, dribbles, headers. Before that, against Liverpool, he got 5.5, and then he got 6.5 against Fulham. So I figured, he's starting to find his feet in the Prem. He's only had 4 starts this year. I think first one was March against Bournemouth. So double game week is coming up with Burnley and United. He could get you like 16 points or something. And Brentford are, they're not the toughest team, so I actually don't mind starting him here as like a mid-5, given like his key pass ratio. He's playing somewhat in a higher area, and maybe McBurney and Diaz combine those guys' names in one.
I like that, McBurton.
And then I got Mason Mount. I think we've talked about him enough for one day. I'm not too key. We know that I don't like Mount as a United player, but his schedule in the next 3, if he starts, big upside. And then I got Semedo versus Forest. All the attention has been on 8 Nouri, but Semedo's quietly been good in his last few games. 9.25 and then 6 in his last 2, with a yellow card in one of them and no clean sheets or returns as well. So Forest, they gave Porro a ton of room. And I think Semedo, if Wolves play well, could have the same joy and also double game week coming up.
Okay. Very nice. Toddy?
These are my last weeks.
Oh, they are.
McBurney went well.
I mean, McBurney still stands. I feel like that's
fine.
That's fairly straightforward.
I doubt Lo Celso starts.
No.
But if he does, pick him up and play him. And the Arsenal defenders are turning out to be quite the conundrum. Kiwior played half, and then Zinchenko came on for him in the Champions League. The issue is that Arsenal is the penultimate game, the last game on Sunday. So essentially, you're looking at possibly having to drop the defender that you have been banking on starting, and the only team that you can stream from is Chelsea and Everton, which is not a great prospect, but yeah, I'd rather bank on Ashley Young than any of Kiwior, Zinchenko, or Tomiyasu at this point. The issue is obviously that there is the Champions League again next week for Arsenal, so not really sure on what to do with Kiwior, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
He's the only one I have.
I completely agree.
It's a late game on Saturday, coming back from the midweek Bayern game after this, and then Chelsea and Spurs after that. Probably gonna have to drop him at some point during this upcoming game week, because I'd rather not hold Arsenal defensive cuff. They've been very good defensively, but yeah, I don't think I can get Zinchenko I
No.
doubt Tomiyasu starts. So
And this
Let's
whole
see,
talk
should-
of Kiwi being nailed, I was always skeptical, and he hasn't been. As soon as Zinchenko
Well,
got back,
I
he
mean,
started 2 in a row.
it's rotation. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, your slide was from last week. You didn't get into updated on the slides, which is fine. But you may actually end up being some sort of soothsayer because there's a chance that even Tomiyasu goes. Like we have no idea.
Yeah.
So
There is.
yeah. And Kiwi did play tonight, played 46. So we really have no clue what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through Ryan's real quick because he did get in here to change this before he had to bow out of the pod tonight. So he likes Enciso versus Burnley. Is that a streamer at this point? I don't know how many.
It is.
Yeah, he's free in many leagues. I
Really?
think.
Yeah. Of course.
Wow. That is
And there was a rumor that he was gonna be out before last game week. So even if he was still rostered or picked up, he would have probably been dropped.
Okay.
He only got 3 against Arsenal, so
Yeah, but it's Arsenal though.
it is. But he also only got 60 minutes, and like we're going off Enciso being a top gem off of one game.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah, okay, solid. 54% rostered. Yeah, that's fair. He also likes our Blaster Genie. And then Sanji, he also has his Brentford defender up against Sheffield United. So there you are.
Yep.
All right, guys. Any last words for the muchachos and muchachas?
No, just have some fun.
Best of luck. Have a
Enjoy.
wonderful game week. We hope everyone is able to dominate. And if not, for any reason, hit us up for some advice next week. We'll gladly help you restructure your team before the vital run-in that we just talked about, the 36-38 game week playoff run, or just trying to get yourself to the top of the table. As Jeannie already mentioned, don't sell yourself out just for the last couple game weeks. It's not worth it. But if you do need some help on strategy or anything like that, hop in the Inner Circle Discord or send us a confidential trade advice email. Both things are available to Inner Circle members. We encourage you to join. We'll talk to everyone soon. Love you guys, especially if you've made it this far. Inner Circle, you're the best. Listeners, you're the best. Community, you guys rule. Talk to everyone soon. Cheers.
Bye.